Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing an iDevice collection video of all my Apple devices. So let's get started. So first, let's go through my iPods. So first up, we got my iPod 4th generation, 30GB with a color display. And you can see there it's a 30GB and it's in pretty decent condition, aside from this gray line here. Next up, I got two 5th generations here. One of these works, and they're both 30GB, and this one is most likely dead and needs a new battery or charging port, but it is in really nice condition. After those, I got two iPod Nano 3s here. This one is complete in the box, but has some sort of screen issue where it will turn white after you turn it off and turn it back on, and they are both of the 4GB capacity. Moving on to iPod Shuffles here, I got a 2nd and a 3rd generation here. This one has a dead battery, and this one works actually really well, and I think it still has battery in it. Wow, it does. Now for iPod Touches, I have a 2nd and a 5th generation here. This one is a 8GB and has a really poor battery life. It lasts about like 2 minutes and is running the latest version of iOS 4 that this can run. This is a 5th generation, 32GB, and it runs iOS 9.3.5 and works fairly well. Battery's average, and the button on the back still works just fine. Next up, let's do my iPads. Starting off, I have an iPad 1st generation, 32GB Wi-Fi with the official Apple case here. It has a damaged power button and is running the latest version of iOS 5 and is jailbroken with a bunch of stuff on it. And it's a nice little device, and the battery works real well too. Next up, I have two iPad 2nd generations here, both cellular models. This is a 16GB and has been downgraded to iOS 8.4.1, and this is a 64GB that has been downgraded to iOS 6 and is jailbroken with some apps and stuff on it, and the battery life is amazing on this one. After that, I have my iPad 4 Wi-Fi model, 16GB, running the latest version of iOS 10, and this has a weird charging issue where it will charge really slowly, even on a fast charger. So don't know what's wrong with this, and it is in pretty bad condition and has a artwork. I don't know what you call that. And for my final iPad, I have a base model, 32GB Wi-Fi and cellular model here. This one has a cracked screen and has been replaced, but it got cracked again. And it's just a little device that I use for pretty much watching YouTube and nothing else, because it's pretty terrible to use with this cracked screen. Next up, let's look at my two Apple TVs I have. So for my first Apple TV, I have a 3rd generation 8GB here, and it is running Apple TV software 7.2.2. My final Apple TV is a 1st generation 4K from 2015. It is the base 32GB model and is running tvOS 14.6. And finally, let's take a look at all my iPhones plus the iTunes phone. Starting off here, I have the iTunes phone. This is with the phone that Apple made partnered with Motorola before the iPhone, and it's pretty terrible to use, but it does work here and runs the really weird iTunes UI for the actual music part here. And loaded in here, you can see how it very heavily mimics the iPod user interface. Next up, I have my 4 iPhone 1st generations. The first one being a boxed iPhone 1st generation 8GB I picked up off eBay a while back and did an unboxing video of, so if you want to see more of that, go check out the video up in the cards somewhere. And this is an 8GB, has been jailbroken, and is running the latest version of iPhone OS 3 for this device, and is in pretty poor condition, but has the box and accessories. Next up, I have 3 more 8GB iPhone 1st generations here. These all have some sort of faults with them. This one has dead pixels, this one has a cracked screen, and this one has a damaged volume down button, but they all work and are 8GB. These two have been jailbroken on the left. This one has the most apps, as I use this one the most for development and stuff, and this was just an old one that I found and has some old apps on it, but isn't really useful because it has not been jailbroken yet. Going up a generation, we have my boxed iPhone 3G 8GB. This one does need repairs though, as it has a dead screen and just shows white, and a damaged mute switch that doesn't actually do anything, but other than that, it functions and is running the latest version of iOS 4 that this can run. Moving along to iPhone 3GSs, I have 3, with 1 being inboxed. The first is an 8GB running iOS 4 and is the new boot ROM and is in pretty nice condition and works really well, but I believe the battery is expanding as the screen is starting to lift up. After that, I have a 16GB old boot ROM iPhone 3GS, which I have downgraded to iPhoneOS 3.1.3. It is in very nice condition and works very well, as you can see there. For my final iPhone 3GS, I have another 8GB new boot ROM model, which I have downgraded from iOS 6 to iOS 4.1, as there's not much you can downgrade this to, and I have not done much with it as I have other iPhone 3GSs, but it is in pretty nice condition other than that. Moving along to iPhone 4s, I have 2 GSM models and 3 of the CDMA models. Starting with the first GSM model, I have a 16GB iPhone 4 3.1, which is iCloud locked, and I downgraded it to iOS 4. So it works fairly well, but there is no notifications as it has not been activated correctly, as you can see there. But aside from that, it works very well and has a brand new battery in it and is in very nice condition. For my next iPhone 4, I have another 3.1, except this is an 8GB and has been downgraded to iOS 5.1.1 and has some slight damage. It has a cracked screen, a cracked back, and the home button is quite sticky to use. But aside from that, it works fairly well and is a nice iOS 5 device to use. Next up, we have my 3 iPhone 4 CDMAs. They are all 8GB. This one has been downgraded from iOS 7 to iOS 6 and is jailbroken with some apps on it. This one has not been jailbroken and is just running the latest version of iOS 7 and has some apps on it. And this one has been jailbroken like this one and is also running iOS 7 with a bunch of apps and stuff on it. Moving along to iPhone 4S, I have 4 of them. This one is a 32GB white model and has been downgraded to iOS 6 with a ton of stuff on it, and this is my main legacy iOS device. This is a 16GB and has also been downgraded to iOS 6 but is not jailbroken and has a pretty poor battery life, and this is actually a temporary battery as the original one expanded and is just really a test battery. This one had a similar story. It does not have a battery in it, but is a 64GB model and is running iOS 7.0.4 and is really nice aside from the cracked screen. The final one is another 16GB model. This one has been downgraded to iOS 8 and is jailbroken and has a bunch of apps on it and is in pretty nice condition aside from the battery life. Next up, we have my Slate 16GB iPhone 5 that has been downgraded from iOS 10 to iOS 8 and is jailbroken. I don't use this one too much as I don't really have much to do on iOS 8, but it is a cool device and I've put some games and stuff on here. It is in pretty nice condition aside from a broken power button. Next up, let's go through my 2 iPhone 5Ss. The first is a box 16GB silver and white iPhone 5S that is running iOS 10.0.1. This was my grandmother's, so it's basically brand new. It has not really been used and is in pretty nice condition and is a cool iOS device to mess around with. Next up, we have my Space Gray 16GB iPhone 5S that was my grandfather's and is running iOS 9.2.1 and has some old apps from like 5 years ago when I first got this, and is really nice condition aside from this mark on the back, and is really nice with iOS 9, very fast. Next up, we have my 2 iPhone 6s. They're both 16GB, they all have some sort of problems with them, and there's nothing really too special about them as they're both just running the latest version of iOS 12. So we'll move on. Next up, we have my 2 iPhone 6Ss. The first one is a 64GB model that I downgraded to iOS 9 from iOS 15 with Tortoise Murala, as you can see there with the slide to unlock. And it's very fast as it is now running its original software version, and it's a cool device to tinker around with, although almost all of these apps are pretty much non-functional. For my other 6S, it's a 32GB and is running the latest version of iOS 15 that this can run. It's not too special, and the battery life is pretty poor on it, as this was at 100% when I started filming and is already at 69 after literally having done nothing. Next up, we have my 32GB iPhone SE first generation. This one has absolutely terrible battery life and will not really work if it's not plugged in, and is running the latest version of iOS 15 that it can run. Next up, I have my 32GB silver iPhone 7. Nothing too special about this one, and it's in pretty poor condition with a cracked screen and poor battery, but is a nice secondary device that I use for calling friends on Discord for gaming and watching YouTube videos. Finally, we have my main iDevice, which is an iPhone SE 2020 base model running iOS 14.8.1. I planned to originally jailbreak this, but never got around to it, so now it's just sort of a rare iDevice. Well, that's it for this iDevice collection video. I have more Apple device collections coming soon, so stay tuned for that. And if you guys want to see a PC collection video, let me know in the comments below. But other than that, that'll about do it, and I'll see you guys hopefully soon.